Yeah, that's okay. I'm Liam Robinson, I'm the leader of Liverpool. Obviously, just like everybody across the city, really shocked, really upset. You know, something that was a joyous occasion, not just for Liverpool football club fans, the whole city. After the parade, the incident that happened here on Water Street was really shocking and all, really upset us all. I think the most important thing is that our thoughts and prayers have been affected, particularly those paintings that are in hospital as we speak. And particularly we want to support the emergency services on a great job. And I think one of the things we want to say to everybody is please don't share any of their horrific footage on social media. If you have any information, please share it with us so they can put all their details.
Let me take that.
Speculating around the details, it's purely about how we were close to the book. We asked any member of the public that has any information to share it with us to support those investigations. Well, I'm obviously not going to be speculating about that. You know, what is most important is that we support those and police and the emergency services. Investigations, absolutely understandable what to do. But once those questions will go to most people at this stage, we support the police and the detailed investigations and get them exactly to the fact.
There will be
well, it's certainly subject to very, very detailed reports. The most important thing at this stage is working very close to those to make sure that we do those detailed investigations and get the impact exactly. I was in the kingdom of Liverpool, where we hosted a reception for supporters, literally on the road, but also operations. Together, so something like a joyous moment for the whole city. In fact, really joyous for the whole city. And some horrific situation. We spent all day there. Yeah, well, I was talking to lots of well, look, I think we're obviously all shocked at the set. I think what's most important is that there's to make sure all of those potential problems certainly not be speculating around those things. I'm shocked that you certainly want to support anyone that's been involved in such a great job. I think that the response from the response to demonstrate solidarity on this issue and professionalism genuinely for all the emergency services that should be very to contribute to all the emergency services and the NHS workers who will be part of the the city life always comes together. It's a growing act of emergency services. When I think about some council staff that literally take the days off as soon as they saw it was unfolding. Through to residents right across the city that have been accommodation, public accommodation, that caught up in this. That's the testament of the city. That's helping people out. The water, particularly through to times like this, I think the most important thing at this stage is that everybody caught up with this, we're there to support anyone affected by this. But equally, the most important thing is we work very close to the emergency services. Any information that anybody has, please share with those services. Don't share it on social media.
Hi,
How you
Eleanor
doing?
from PA.
Nice to see you. You're all right.
Okay.
Are we all right to double up on
Yeah.
this ITN?
Yeah, of course.
It just saves you saying the same.
No, it's fine. It's not a problem.
You have to do this live, or would you rather pause it and...
Fine with me. I'm in your hands, folks. That's not a problem. So,
Are you all both alright? Yeah, good.
so talking to you, not the.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Just tell me what the mood is in the city this morning.
I think obviously right across the city we're all really shocked, really upset. You know, something that started as a joyous day, not just for Liverpool Football Club, but for the whole city, ending with the incident that we had here on Water Street that was so tragic is awful. So I think everyone's really upset and really shocked. I think equally, all our thoughts and prayers are going out to everybody caught up in this, particularly those people that are very poorly in hospital at this moment in time. But also, yeah, we're very much supporting the emergency services for all of their professional hard work, but equally working very, very closely with Merseyside Police on the investigations that they're doing in detail. And I would have sort of asked any members of the public, please don't share anything on social media that's speculative and unhelpful, but any information that people do have, please share it with Merseyside Police so they can do that detailed investigation and we can get complete clarity of exactly what happened.
Have you had any updates on how those people who are injured are doing this morning?
Well, look, I'm not going to be speculating about individuals. Obviously, we know there are a number of people very poorly receiving sort of specialist hospital treatment, and our thoughts and prayers are with them and their families, but also we want to kind of give all our very best wishes to those NHS staff that are looking after them, you know, and they have to be kind of our priority at this moment in time.
And obviously a huge event for the city and a huge amount of planning went into this. And people are asking, how did that car get to be down this road with all these people here? Is there now going to be sort of a review of how this happened?
Well, obviously there were literally months of planning for this event, you know, particularly kind of involving the club and the emergency services. I'm not going to speculate on the details, but obviously it's a police-led investigation and we're working very, very closely with Merseyside Police, and that's why we would appeal for any members of the public with any information, please share it with Merseyside Police so we can get that exact detail and that exact clarity and we take things forward from there.
The police told us yesterday that it's a white British man from Liverpool who's been arrested. That's quite unusual, really, for us to get that detail at that stage. Do you think it's important that police are given as much detail as they possibly can to prevent sort of misinformation?
I think the police have had to do a really difficult job in very, very difficult circumstances, but I think they've done it really, really professionally, so we fully support the approach that the police have taken in giving the right levels of information that they can at the right time. But equally, that's why not just the City Council, but all of us as citizens have got to support Merseyside Police in their detailed investigations. So that's why I would appeal again, any information anybody has, please share it with Merseyside Police. Please don't speculate on social media.
What would you say about this, the great amount of this information that is being spread online? You know, and obviously we've seen Merseyside undergo a lot of trauma recently. Obviously Southport, Olivia Pratt-Corbell. What would you say to people who are from Liverpool in this city about what they're going through at the minute and about that misinformation online?
Well, speculative misinformation is never helpful at the end of the day, and actually kind of doesn't do justice to those people that we want to prioritise, so everyone who's been kind of caught up in this, that particularly those people that are victims in hospital, but also the heroic work of the emergency services. What's most important is any information, please share it directly with Merseyside Police. Do not speculate on social media. That's not helpful. It's certainly not helpful to the victims and their families.
And people will just be asking today, how on earth was this allowed to happen? You mentioned, months of planning went into this. What would you say to them? I
think, well, we're certainly not going to speculate around that. It's a live police investigation. We're working very, very closely with Merseyside Police on that to make sure that they get all of the information that they need to do that detailed investigation. And that's why we would ask any members of the public that have any information, please share it directly with Merseyside Police so we can get that detailed clarity and we can go forward from there.
I've just got one question. I'm from Sky News Australia.
Yeah, okay.
Sophie's my name. The detail that the driver was white, is that normal for police to put out information on the skin colour of a person?
I think at the end of the day, the police have taken that decision to release that information, and we fully support the police in manage this situation exactly
Mr. Robinson?
Yeah.
Il veut qu'on aille là. Vas-y, tiens. Il veut qu'on aille là. Thank you for your time, Mr. Robinson. We are from... Okay. So, we are from French TV TF1. Thank you for your time.
No, it's okay. I won't do it in French.
No problem. Mr. Robinson, it was such a spectacular and effective yesterday. How are you feeling now between the mixed emotions yesterday and what happened afterwards?
Well, look, let's be honest, everybody right across the city is shocked, deeply upset that something that started a really joyous day, not just for Liverpool football, but the whole city, ended with the tragic situation that we had on Water Street. I think the most important thing is that anyone affected, particularly those people in hospital, are at the heart of our thoughts and our prayers, but equally as well, we're working very, very closely with the emergency services, particularly Merseyside Police and their detailed investigations, and that's why we would ask anyone with any information, please share it directly with Merseyside Police. Please don't share either speculation or social media that does not help you to anyone.
Coming from the last meeting you had this morning, did you get any news about either the circumstances of the accident or the incident, or the conditions of the victims?
Obviously at this stage it's certainly not going to be speculating. What's most important is that Merseyside Police have the time they need to do that very detailed investigation to get the exact clarity on exactly what happened. We're supporting them very much in that process.
And was there any news about how the driver and the car found themselves in this area of the parade right after the bus came through? Do you know a bit more how did it happen?
Again, at this stage, certainly not speculating. We're working very, very closely with the emergency services, particularly Merseyside Police and the detailed investigations, so we can get that exact clarity, exactly what happened, to move this forward.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Good luck.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
quelques minutes et passer de la joie d'une parade magnifique avec 1 million de personnes, la joie d'un titre à l'horreur absolue. Absolument, en quelques minutes, hier soir, Liverpool est passé de la joie d'une immense parade avec 1 million de personnes dans les rues à l'horreur absolue au moment où cette voiture a foncé dans la foule, très précisément dans cette rue, Water Street, une rue qui est encore quadrillée par les forces de l'ordre. Vous voyez derrière ce camion, il y a eu longtemps, là où précisément s'est déroulée la scène, cette voiture qui a écrasé de nombreuses personnes, peu après la parade qui s'est déroulée très précisément dans cette rue, juste à proximité, une million de personnes réunies pour célébrer ce 20e titre de Liverpool. L'horreur donc, on a parlé des habitants qui nous disent, voilà, dans quelques minutes, ils étaient pressés comme des sardines et ils ont entendu les hurlements avec cette voiture. Le chauffeur a lui été acheté, une horreur visible aussi dans le moteur britannique, regarde la télévision, une historique intelligente de l'église d'or, pareil, l'horreur à la parade de de presse s'est tenue hier par les autorités de la Mersey. Ils indiquent que le principal suspect, un homme de 53 ans, a été interpellé. Il s'agit d'un Britannique originaire de la région de Liverpool. Merci à vous.
Steve?
That's fine. Sammy, there's a plan of professional seems to be
Yeah, it's coming down.
Somebody else was that was somebody's prized possession and something's happening. So there's a bit of poignancy about that.
Sorry, Liam.
Yeah, it's not. Somebody's come with that in the morning and like waving it, and then they've just gone.
I'll move around. I'll move around. Don't want to be in the camera.
Yeah.
That makes it easier.
Is everyone ready? Are you okay? Okay, do you just want to tell us a little bit about what the mood is this morning, really?
I think it's moved from shock, as these things always do, to reflection, and then to a bit of relief because nobody was killed, thankfully. So there were no fatalities, and we're now on the stage of hope where those people who were injured can get through this difficult period for them and fully recover, not just physically but also mentally after such a traumatic event.
Have you heard any update on how the injured people are?
No, but we do know that the police are monitoring it very carefully with the NHS, and they will make a statement if there's any change, of course, but when they've got something to say that they'll let people know. And that's the right way around. The police have to take primacy in this, they have to lead.
And you talked about that reflection, and there's questions sort of being asked this morning, aren't there? Like, months of planning went into this parade. How's this been able to happen?
Yeah, and that's the big question in all honesty, and it's the question that I think most people want answering as soon as they possibly can, because basically, for those people who don't know, Water Street was not a route where vehicles were supposed to be using it. It was blocked off, and at this end of it, which is the direction that it was coming in towards the Strand, there were literally hundreds of thousands of people here, so no vehicle would have got through anyway. And the questions, I suppose, are legitimate, but we have to give the police the time to conclude their investigations, which is what they're doing. We know that the driver was apprehended at the scene, and we know that the driver will be, asked those questions, and then the police will feel able then to put out another statement of fact, not the nonsense that we read in social media posts and on Twitter and Facebook, but facts. And I think that's the right way to do it. And I don't want to add to any of the speculation that's already floating around in these platforms.
Just on that speculation, how quickly did you see sort of things spread online that weren't true, and can you tell us anything about what kind of thing has been spread online?
Yeah, really quickly. And if you have a look at my timeline, there was somebody very quickly saying, why are you lying? There's been another incident in another part of the city, which obviously wasn't true, and then they were trying to stir up, who might be responsible for it, and that's why I think the police acted not just appropriately, quickly, to dampen that sort of speculation, because it was designed to inflame, it was designed to divide. The message of hate doesn't go down well here, and those people are wasting the time, because this place has always been one of those where people stand behind each other. And you saw that solidarity with people on social media, by the way, in a positive light, offering lifts to people or opening the front door or offering them somewhere to sleep. That's the true spirit of humanity of the place that we live in.
Can I just ask you, this is a challenge, isn't it? And we saw this obviously after Southport in terms of communication. The police, have you been able to talk to the chief directly, to the command directly, and to feel that you're in the loop?
It's a great question, because the answer is yes, but the difficulty is that that's done voluntarily, because mayors aren't part of the Civil Contingencies Act. We don't have a right, so that's none of us, none of the metro mayors in this country, and that needs to be changed quickly, because not everybody might have access to such an understanding police force as we have in some really first-rate officers. That needs to be altered, and we should have a Category 1 status, as same as all of the major services, because again, when these things happen, people want to know from the politicians why things happened. The questions about why did the car end up going the wrong way down the street or not. And if I'm not in the loop, how can I honestly answer those questions? So yeah, it's a really pertinent question to not just to this, but anything that happens in the future.
Sorry, go on. I was just going to say, and do you feel like you know enough as of now, even if you don't feel comfortable to say it, but do you feel you know enough?
No, I'm very fortunate because, as I say, we've got absolutely first-rate senior officers in Merseyside Police, and they've always kept me in the loop. Sometimes, there has to be through confidentiality, and I'm not allowed to say any more, and I won't. But some of it is because they know that there'll be people like me and Councillor Liam Robinson, who's the leader of the City Council. They'll be the people who will have to answer the political questions about this. And it was myself that the Prime Minister phoned, it was myself that the Home Secretary phoned and spoke to. And so it has to be a two-way conversation, and I have to tell the police and obviously the other emergency services what the government are saying as well.
Are they moving quickly enough in terms of the police now, do you think? I know they did, I think everybody feels they did well to say more about the suspect last night, and it definitely helped. But do you think they could move any quicker today? Is there more that should we hear more from them today, for example?
Well, there will be more today, and look, they are acting as quickly as it's feasible to do. The first thing that you have to do is obviously to secure the area, and they did that very quickly. And if you have a look, people dispersed really very quickly once the police were on scene, and I'd just like to thank all the people who were here for doing that, because then that allowed them then to gather the evidence, and now they're assessing all of that, and of course they'll have conversations with the driver who's apprehended at the scene and arrested. So all of that is in line now, and we'll make certain that if there is anything to say, it's the police who allow us to speak to the press after they've, of course, put a statement out or had a press conference.
Mayor Rotherham, you touched upon sort of some of the negative social media reaction. Do you think it's significant that the police chose to name the suspect's race in this case? That's not something that usually happens. I mean, what does that say about the state of the country at the moment?
Well, it says that social media can be a cesspit. There are lots of good things, as I just said, about people offering lifts and opening the doors. But social media could have created the conditions where more concern could have been raised for the people who were stuck here, because we had to shut down the transport system. That's what happens when there's a major incident. So all of a sudden they can't get away from the city, and yet there are people nefariously online telling them that there's possibly other things that have happened which were untrue, of course. And so I didn't want that speculation to cause any concern, and that's the right decision taken by Merseyside Police to put that information out.
Sorry, guys, I think I'm just conscious of Mayor Rotherham's time. One last question.
There must have been a part of your head last night when that social media speculation was kind of gaining traction that was thinking about last summer's riots and worrying that something similar might happen. I mean, do you worry that we live in a society now where things can very quickly escalate to that point?
Look, first of all, I'm a human being, and then I'm a dad, and then I'm a politician. So as a dad, first of all, when your kids are here or some of your family, you're concerned about that. The bit about the politician is that you have to learn lessons, and I've seen from what's happened previously that those things can run riot, and you have to put them to bed very, very early and very quickly. I think that's why Merseyside Police acted so quickly and so correctly in trying to dampen some of the nefarious stories that were abounding at the time. Otherwise, you can imagine people would have been worried about whether there's other things that they're going to walk into. And at the first opportunity, we opened up the public transport system, and it was the staff who volunteered to stay late and run late services because we'd had that hiatus where it was all locked down, and they got people home safely. And there's some of the other people who need to be recognised in this narrative as well.
Was there a moment you thought riot police might need to be called in?
Never. No, never.
I think that's great. Thanks very much.
Sorry, I want to let you on off.
No, you're all right. Thanks a lot. Cheers, everyone.
So yes.
Well, obviously we're aware that a car behind us hit a number of passengers, and some of those are in hospital with serious injuries, and we just hope and pray that those people recover from those injuries quickly, but also from the trauma of the event. Liverpool's a city where there's such warmth and with a welcoming city. I mean, there was possibly 1 million people on the streets yesterday to see the parade because Liverpool had won the Premier League, and last time people weren't allowed because of COVID to celebrate. And they'll come together like they always do. Everyone's aware of what happened behind me, but the solidarity of the people will shine through, and there was lots and lots of really heartening things that happened where local people said that they'd opened the door for people who couldn't get home. There were offers of lifts in cars so that people could get to their destinations. This is the true humanity of the great people of this city.
Right.
I got the keys, try to hold on to. We're slipping. We're not top of the show. The great slippage. One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Testing. I'm not hearing anything on IFB yet, right? Okay, great. Good morning, I hear you. How are you? I'll drop this for the live shot. I'm dying. Otherwise we're doing a Mary Poppins. Good morning, I hear you. a major police investigation is now underway, trying to understand how a scene of joy and celebration less than 24 hours ago turned.
Thanks, mate. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, I hear you. We are, yeah, exactly. So if you just stay on top of me for the top of the hit, and I'll just narrate a little bit what we're seeing. We won't be moving, but I'll just sort of point to things. As far as we know, the van itself is on the other side of that police van, right? Can Chantal walk to the edge and see what she can see? She's over there. So Moody, is it that police vehicle, or better that police vehicle? Okay.
So I'm trying to get all the messages.
Yeah.
Up toward that street.
Yeah. So listen, just for the talk while they're on us, I'll say something like, as you can see, a major police investigation now underway, trying to understand how this parade turned into a scene of tragedy. Just to explain the geography to you, we're here at the bottom of Water Street in central Liverpool. It's one of the main streets in the city. Now, on the other side of that police vehicle is the van that plowed into the crowd, forensics. My fly's done up, right? Moody. I'm okay on IFB courts. They're not waving around. As you can see, a major police investigation is now underway, trying to understand how this joyful championship parade turned really into a scene of horror. I just want to explain the geography here. We are at the bottom of Water Street. This is one of the main drags in central Liverpool. And less than 24 hours ago, you had tens of thousands of soccer fans on both sides of the street. They were cheering some of the sport's biggest stars, fresh off their championship win, the English Premier League coming down. And then that dark minivan came careening into the crowd. So just to explain, that minivan is still parked on the street. It is on the other side of that large police vehicle, which is obscuring the view. And detectives are continuing to carry out forensic investigations. As you said, the driver of that minivan is under arrest. Police are saying he is a 53-year-old white British man. And viewers may be wondering, why are the police mentioning his race? And our best guess as to that, Willie, is that last year there were major riots in this country sparked by misinformation on social media after a violent attack. People on social media accusing falsely a migrant of carrying out that attack. So we believe that is the reason police are mentioning race in this case. Now, as you said, nearly 50 people were injured when that van came slamming into the crowd. 4 of them were children. One of those kids, Willie, was actually trapped underneath the van. Firefighters had to lift the van, pull that child out to safety. One child is seriously injured, but miraculously, no one has been killed in this incident, at least so far. A number of people are still in hospital. Police are saying they are not treating this as an act of terrorism. They are saying they believe this is an isolated incident and they aren't looking for anyone else, but they have so far not laid out their understanding of what the motivations are here. They haven't brought any charges yet against the person in custody or anyone else, so we may understand a little bit more if and when those charges are brought. But we are hearing just a wave of condolence and solidarity coming from across the world of sport. including from LeBron James, who's actually a part owner of Liverpool Football Club. And I can tell you guys, the anthem of that soccer team is "You Will Never Walk Alone." It is a song that you hear chanted at Anfield by the fans here. That's the major soccer stadium. And there is a real feeling in this city today that people are not walking alone, that they are supporting each other to get through this tragedy. So Willie, there are very strict laws here in the UK about what authorities can say once somebody has been arrested. That is with the goal of not biasing a future jury trial. I can tell you our team at NBC News has verified a number of videos taken before the minivan crashed into the crowd, and it does appear to show some kind of confrontation between the driver of that vehicle and a number of soccer fans. You can see people banging on the sides of the car. One person tries to open the door of that car. So we simply do not know what the motivation is, but it appears the driver was in control, but in a high-stress situation in the minutes before he plowed into the crowd. We just, at this point, do not know what the motivation was, and we don't really understand whether or not, to what degree, this was intentional. Many to go. Do what? I'm relaxed. I mean, we have a window now, but also I think we're probably getting tired of this. Okay. You guys happy? Well, trying to do the newspaper trick in the pouring rain is generic. Moody, you happy? As happy as we can be? Okay. All right, generic as live in 3-2. Hey there, yeah, as you can see, a major police investigation is now underway, trying to understand how this parade, this joyful gathering, turned into a scene of horror yesterday. Police are saying around 6 p.m. local time, a dark minivan went careening into crowds of soccer fans who were lined up on both sides of the road here. They were celebrating Liverpool's victory in the English Premier League when this tragedy occurred. Police are saying that nearly 50 people were injured, several of them seriously, and at least 4 kids were also caught up in this. One of those children was actually trapped underneath the van. Firefighters had to pull that small child out from underneath. One child is in serious condition, according to authorities. And police have taken into custody the 53-year-old driver. Let's try that again. Alright. In 3-2. That's not gonna go in front of there. Okay, in 3-2. Hey there, yeah, as you can see, a major police investigation is now underway, trying to understand how this championship parade, a gathering of joy, turned into a real scene of horror yesterday. We're at the bottom of Liverpool's Water Street, and it is here that dark minivan came careening into the crowd a little after 6 p.m. local time yesterday. You had fans of Liverpool Football Club lined up on both sides of the street here. They were celebrating their team's victory in the English Premier League when this van came crashing through. Authorities say nearly 50 people were injured. That includes 4 children. One of those kids was actually trapped underneath the van. Firefighters had to pull that child out when they arrived on the scene. Police are saying that they have arrested the driver of that van. He is a 53-year-old white British man from the Liverpool area, according to authorities. They are saying they are not treating this as an act of terrorism and that they believe this is an isolated incident. They aren't looking for anyone else. But we still do not understand what exactly happened here, whether it was intentional or to what degree it was intentional, and what potential motivation there was in this case. Authorities have not yet brought charges, but we may learn more. I can tell you we are seeing just an outpouring of condolences from across the world of sports, including from LeBron James, who's actually a part owner of Liverpool Football Club. And the anthem of this soccer team is "You'll Never Walk Alone." I can tell you there is a real feeling in this city today that people are holding each other close and they're supporting each other through this tragedy. I'll send it back to you.
Stay here, you're going to be
No, I'm going to get out of the way. Try to shoot all of our